this video, we're going to use MongoDB to store our generated blog, and we're going to create a server action to fetch all the blogs that we're going to store in our database. Then we're going to render the blogs inside of our page, and we're going to do that into two main steps. So let's begin by setting up MongoDB. In order to do that, make sure we have MongoDB downloaded. So you could search for the MongoDB Community Edition, and you can download it locally on your computer for Mac or for Windows. And when you download it, you're going to get this Compass install. Also, this is the client, so you can connect to this port in your local host or in your computer, so you can access all your different databases. If you already have a MongoDB Atlas database, you can also connect to that. I like to work on my local when we are just developing, and then connect to my cloud one when we deploy. So either way is fine. I do have a video on setting up the MongoDB database. I can drop a link in the description so you can see that video, and also the links to download the MongoDB database. So make sure you install that, and then after we got this already installed, we're going to install the MongoDB client for our program. So on our terminal, we're going to stop our terminal, and we're going to run npm MongoDB and npm space MongoDB. And after that gets installed, we're going to set up a DB folder, but let's wait for this so we can run it again. Let's run npm run def again. And now we're going to create a DB folder. And let's create that in our src folder. So let's go to our src folder here, and we're going to right click new folder and DB. Inside of that DB folder, we're going to create a new file. Let's call it connect, or let's just call it MongoDB.ts. In here, we can have our boilerplate to connect to our MongoDB. You can usually get that from the GitHub repo. I'll drop a link in the chat so you can open this up. This was the one we normally use for TypeScript, and then the different examples in order to work with different frameworks and different languages. So we can just grab everything here, and we can bring it over to our file. And this is basically going to bring in the MongoDB client. It's going to check that we have the environment variables that we're going to set up. And then we're going to set up the options for the server. We're going to create a client if we're in development or if we're in production. And then we're going to export the client promise, which is what we're going to be using to connect to our database. So let's just save that, and we can close that up. Now in our .env here, let's create a new, what's the name here? We need to use the same name we have here, MongoDB URI, so we can just copy that from there and bring it over here. And we're gonna set that equals to this URL here, to our local host, or if you have the, put it in quotes and paste it in there, or if you have the Atlas link to the cloud-based database, you can paste it in here. Save that. Let's stop the server here. Let's run it again because we changed our environment variables. we can close the MongoDB file. So now we installed the MongoDB client. We created the MongoDB folder with the MongoDB setup. Now we could work inside of the actions, inside of the index.ts, where we can go back and we can get rid of these prompts here because we already store the different prompts in the notes MD file, just so we can save it. And now in here, we can go back to our page. We're going to store these, the blogs to our database. So let's go and work on that. So in here, we're going to scroll down. First, let's import at the top. Let's bring our client promise. So let's do import client promise from the DB MongoDB database. And then we can scroll down to here. Let's save the blog to the DB. So here, what we need to do, we're going to first, let's here at the top, somewhere around console log in the blog. So in here, yeah, we can just do it right here. Let's do DB client, and let's do const, create a variable here called client, set that equals to let's do await client promise, and that is going to return a client. So we'll connect to the database. Then we're going to say const db, and then we're going to say equals client.db, and we're going to name this db. Let's just call it blog genie, or whatever you want. Blog dash genie, so we can really read this here. Or no dashes. That's fine. We can keep it like that. So this is the database that is going to be created on your MongoDB, on your local or on your cloud-based one. So now let's scroll down, because now we have the client. And here we're going to, after we create the blog, we console login it here. So let's save it instead of just console login. Let's do, so right now we are getting everything as a string. So let's just first parse it to a JavaScript object. So let's say parse content equals, and let's use the JSON that parse, which is going to take in a string and is going to parse it into a JavaScript object. So we can just pass in the content. So let's store this into a variable. Let's say content equals this, and we need to say const content equals completion choices square bracket 0. Yeah, that looks good. And let's pass the content here. And in here, what's going on here? String no is not assignable to a string. So in here, this should be good. So let me see if I made a mistake here. The parse, the argument type string or null. Okay, so it's saying that this could be null. So let's just have a quick if statement here, and we can say if there's no content, we're going to just throw a new error, and we're going to say error generating blog post. So now if we reach over here, we're 100% sure we got some content inside of that variable. And now this will be parsed to a JavaScript object. So this is the parse content or our blog. And then now that we have that, we need to store that now into the MongoDB database. So in here, we can say const blog equals, and let's say await db that let's call the collections, and the collections in here, we're gonna call this collection blogs. So if you haven't worked with MongoDB before, first we're creating the database that we want, which is blog Genie in this case, and then you can have a collection of blogs, a collection of users. That's kind of like your tables that you create in a relational database. So we're going to create a collection of blogs in order to store it there, and we're going to say that insert one, and we're going to pass in an object here. And in here, let's see what we need to do. Collections, I think is collections or collection. I think it's collection. And then in here, we're going to spread everything that was generated here from the object. So all of these all this information is going to be spread here into a new object. So we're gonna use the spread operator to say parse content. So is this what the spread operator is going to do? Is just grab everything from that JSON object that we were generating and put it inside of this object. And then after that, we can create a new, let's do another property here. So let's say created at, and then let's set that to the current day by typing new date in here. And that's about it. Now we could console log the blog here just to make sure we are getting a response from the database. We just get kind of like a confirmation object that was the new document was inserted, so we can just see that. So now let's create a new blog post. So back to the app here, we're going to type here, let's open the terminal, and let's type create a blog post about what is generative AI. We can hit create. That is going to take a little bit of time to generate. Looks like the application, okay, now it's working. It was connecting. We got the prompt here. And now we have, this is our blog post that was generated from, this is the object. So let me open this up a bit more. We can see the object that was generated. And then from the database, we got this acknowledge true and the ID of the new inserted document. So now if you open up your Compass and you connect to your database, you're going to have the blog Genie here, should be there now. You can click on that. You're going to have a collection of blogs. If you click there, you're going to have the new blog post with the title, content, meta information, the keywords, and the created ad set to the current date. Cool. So now they're being stored in the database, so we're not losing this data. And now what we can do, we can work on a new server action. We can put all these server actions here. This is the handle completion one that is generating the blog post, but we could at the bottom, if we wanted to, let's just have a /**, so we can add the information here, handle completion down here. And now if we scroll down to the bottom, we can put everything here because maybe everything could fit in a single file, but you can have multiple files in here and just export your server actions from separate files. So in here, we want to create a new, let's say /**, and we're going to do a get blogs server action. So we're going to say export async function, and this function is called get blogs, and this function is going to use the client. So let's do const client equals client promise, and then we're going to say what's in here, clients. So down here we're going to say const db equals and then client dot db, and we're going to access the, what is this here? Oh, we don't need the await here. This is fine without the await. So here we're gonna say blog genie, which is our database name. So here we need to await this because this is a promise. So await this, connect to the database, and then after we connect to the database, we're just going to get all the posts. So get or blog posts. In here we're going to say const blogs equals await, and then we're going to use db.collections to access is collection, and then in here we're going to pass in the collection name that we want to access, which is going to be the blogs collection, and then we're going to use the .find method to find all of them, and then we need to use the .toArray so we can get an array back from the collection here. So right now this is fine, but we need to tell TypeScript what is this collection all about, because then we're gonna get a error when TypeScript complains about your collections of blogs. So something that we can do is create a type and pass it to the collection here. So before we do that, let's just do a quick console log of blogs here to verify that this is coming back, and then have return blogs here. So we get the client ready, connect to the database, fetch all the blogs from the collection, and then console log it and return it. Now let's do a quick folder in SRC. Right click new folder, let's call it types, and in here let's do just a quick type. Let's do a right click, new file, index.ts. In here we're going to create a blog post. So let's do export, let's create an interface, a TypeScript interface for the blog post, and here we're just going to detail all the different properties that a blog post is going to have. So the blog post is going to have, every time you save a blog post to your MongoDB, you're going to get this underscore ID property, and that is going to point to an object ID. So we need to specify that here. So it's going to have an underscore ID, which is going to be of type, and we can type object ID. Let's do that again. Object ID, which is going to come from the MongoDB client that we installed earlier. This object ID type is going to be set for the underscore ID. Then we're going to say we're going to have a title of type string. Then we're going to have the content also of type string. And this is basically all the properties here: title, content, meta info, keywords. So here we're going to have meta info of type string. Everything else I think is a string. Oh no, not the date, not the bottom one. Keywords is going to be a string. And then what else? We need created at, which is going to be of type date. Cool. So now we got the type. It's already being exported. So now we go back to actions, and we can import the type all the way at the top here. Import blog post from types in here, and we're going to use this one to pass it to our collection here. So we're going to do less than sign, greater than sign, and pass in blog posts. So now TypeScript would know that this is a array of blog posts. And now in notes, it has the context that it needs to identify all the blog posts there. So now we can go back to our page. This is our blog post page here. And we could now fetch all the different blog posts. So let's do that now. So at the top, we have already from the actions, we have the handle completion. We can also import the get blogs. And here we can call this server action at the top here before the return keyword. Here we're going to just say const blogs equals, and then we're going to say await get blogs. And this is already a async function, so we can use await in here. So now when we're here, we should be able to map over the different blogs, and then we're going to render those inside of the page. So let's see if we're getting some, let's see here, blog posts. If let's refresh this here. We gotta fix those buttons, refresh it, check the terminal here, and now in here we got an array with one blog post, which is gonna have the ID, title, content, meta info, keywords, created at, and that's the only one we have at the moment. If you created more, that should be in there as well. So an array of blog posts here. So now that we are getting that here, we're going to, in this section here, in the first section, we could map over the blogs and just kind of, we could just show the title of the blog for now, because we're gonna make these link later, so we can put it between the title and the button. So let's do it right after the H2. We could get rid of the H2, but let's leave it there for now. So here we're gonna do curly brackets, and we're going to check if we got if blogs is true, then we want to do blogs.map, and we're going to grab each blog inside of the array. So singular blog here, and then let's stay inside here. Let's do a arrow function. Let's do parentheses and hit enter. And in here, we're going to return a h3. And then the h3, we're going to render inside of the h3. We're just going to display the blog, singular blog.title. And then this is going to, the key prep is missing, so we need to put the key prep here. We need to say key, and this is for React to be able to identify, have a unique identifier for each one of the different elements that is going to list here. So that's always necessary when you are mapping over an array of X, whatever you're mapping over to. So here we can use the ID of the blog. So we can say blog dot underscore ID, and we need to make sure that this is a string, so we can do the dot toString method, and that should do the trick. Let's refactor this. Okay, it looks kind of weird. Okay, let me see, that's fine. Let's actually do, let's save it, let's refresh. Whoops, it's not what I want. Let's refresh this, and now here we're getting the title of this one. Let's close this up for now. Let's give this a little bit more room, and we can style this a little bit. So let's see if we can to the h3 here. Let's just do last name, and let's do a padding of 5 for now. Cool. All right, that's a long title, but that's fine. We're going to, we can make that a little bit smaller if we want on the text. So we'll do more styling later. But that's it. That's the title of the blog. If you have more, you probably see more, but I only have one in my database right now. Let me refactor this again. Okay, that's much better. So that's fine. Here we're gonna have the list of the title. Later we're going to, instead of rendering an h3, we can render a link, and then we can make them clickable, so we can allow the user to maybe edit this or do more different actions on this. We can render that into maybe a editor or something like that, but let's keep it here for now. So the other thing we need to render will be the actual generated blog. So when we hit create, when we type something here and we hit create, we want to display the new blog that was generated here. So that way, if the user is okay with that, they just copy or do whatever they need to do, or maybe they can click and go and edit something, or they can see it and request another one if they didn't like what we got back. So let's do that now. So in this section, we're gonna do a little formatting on the way the blog is going to be rendered here. But then later, when the user clicks on this and it takes them maybe to another page, they will have a different way to see it. So in this section, section 2 here, we want to start inside of this here, which says flex 1, create a new blog post, which is this here. So instead of displaying the h2, we could get rid of that. And let's do, actually, instead of saying that, we can just delete this here. And what we can do, let's just have our, in here, let's do curly brackets so we can access the blogs. And for now, let's just do let's use the dot add method to get the last blog post that was created, so we can pass in -1 dot title, and here we have blogs that add, and then let's do question mark. So we're gonna see if this is true before we access the title. Is going to check for that. So if we save this here, we got the title there. So for this h2, let's do a class name. Oh, come on, help, class name. Okay, so class name in here, let's just do text-2xl, and let's do margin bottom -2. And also on this div that is wrapping, this div should be displaying everything in here. So flex 1, and let's do a padding of 5. Let's do a, that's fine, let's keep it there for now. Let's just continue doing the other elements here. So let's just grab, let's do a div here. Inside of this div, we're going to do, we can use another h2. Let's do the, let's say meta info or metadata. And then after the h2, we can do, let's do a paragraph. And inside of the paragraph, we could do curly brackets blogs that adds -1 to get the last one, and then let's do meta, let's do dot meta info. Okay, so this is the different tag. This is the metadata. So that's fine. Learn about generative AI, its applications, challenges, ethical considerations. Yeah, that's the metadata. Let's do here a class name. And let's do another text. We could do the text. No, let's just do, let's keep it there for now. Let me see something. This div is here. We got another div here. And that's fine. Let's keep it like that. Okay. That's fine. And this is the title. This is the metadata. So I'm typing metadata, and then I'm pressing Control/space, Control// to make that a comment. So I can just break this down and read it a little bit better. Here, let's put the content. And down here, let's do another div. And let's do another h2 here. Let's do the content. And let's do inside of the content, we're going to just, the content right now is HTML because we asked for the formatting to be HTML. So we could just insert this HTML into a div by creating a self-closing div here and use the dangerously insert HTML, and we could pass a object, and we can type __HTML : and then we can pass in blogs that adds -1 ? Dot content. And if let's save it, we got some content here. What is this complaining about? A string or undefined is not assignable to save. Okay, so it could be undefined. We could do a or operator. Let me see, we could just say we're going to have one. Like we're sure we can do the exclamation here to just tell TypeScript we're sure we're gonna have this, don't worry about it, and that will be fine. Or you could do something like if we don't have it, you can just display nothing, and that will kind of work too, but we're sure this is we're gonna have this content property anyways. So here everything is smashed up together. So on these divs here, let's do a class name of margin bottom -2, or that's fine. Let's copy that class here, and let's also put it on this one. And we could add some more, but that's fine for now. Let's do, yeah, we could add, like, I don't want to add too much because I don't want to keep this from, it's already like pushing down the page. So we're gonna have to make just this section scrollable for the content. Let's keep it here for now, but you can add more if you want to. Let's just render the keywords here. And then the keywords in here, we're gonna do, let's do another div just like we did up here. Yeah, div. Inside of the div, we're going to have the h2. We're going to say keywords. And then we're going to have a, what are we gonna have here? So here, let's do, because the keywords, let's look at the keywords. Keywords right now is one single string, so we can split each string by the comma here to kind of like display everything. Let's see how it looks. Let's do a paragraph, and let's do blogs that adds -1 question mark dot keywords, and that's fine. I think that's good. Load the keywords, that's fine. We can just deliver like that. And what else? Margin bottom. We could add more margin. Let's do 5 so make it more readable. 5 in here. And then content is all this here. We could make these bigger. Why these are not bigger? Oh, let's do on the h2, we can do text -2 XL. Okay, that was for the metadata. Then we can copy this class here and add it to the next h2 content and to this h2 as well, just so we can identify the keywords, content, and then the metadata. Cool. So what else we can do here? I think that's fine for now. The only thing is this is scrolling all the page. So let's do at the beginning of this section, let's make this after flex call. In here we're gonna do overflow auto, just to make it automatically if the content overflows on that section. And then on this one, we can do also overflow auto. Let me see if it works. And okay, so this section here, so okay, only that section. I think we do need it in both, right? Yeah, we do need it in both. Cool. So now only this section is scrollable. And then we can also change this var here because this looks very ugly. Let's go into globals maybe. If we go to globals, we could let's see. Yeah, we could go and say, let's go here. Let's do asterisk for all, and then we're gonna go scroll bar, and scroll bar that width, and let's set it to thin. Okay, so that's smaller, which I like much better. And then we can do what can we do? Scroll var dash color, and here we could do let's just do, I think we can do just black and blue. Let's see how that looks. That doesn't work. Oh, this needs to be black and blue. Oh, there you go. Doesn't really match this here. We'll find a color that matches out. Let me see if can we do black and no, it needs to be, we can set up a variable later for this. Let's just keep it like this. That way we know we change it and we need to match our color scheme a little bit better. But that's fine. We can keep this in here for now and we match our colors later. Put that away. What else we got? Let's see. I think we are good for now. So we set up our database. We set up the blog type for our blog post collection. We worked on our completion server action to store the blog post to our database. You can get rid of those console logs if you want. Now that is working, and we also created a server action to get all the blogs, which we're calling back in our page, in our blogs page, to get all the blogs. And then we render in the titles of all the blogs here. We got to work more on that later. And we got our sign up button in there, out of place, but it's fine for now. And then we are generating work. Okay, so let's, before we finish up, let's do one more prompt. And this prompt could be, what is prompt engineering? And make sure I got that right. Hit create, and let's see if we got our new content display, which now that I'm thinking, it will probably not work right now because what Next.js is doing, Next.js is caching the web page. So we are not going to see the new content. We're gonna see it probably generated here, all the way down. We can see the blog that was generated here. Understanding prompt engineering. We got our blog, it was stored, but we didn't see a change here. And now if we go back to our index where we have our server actions, we could go and use the revalidate function. So we can tell down here. So after we hit this line, we're going to use revalidate and revalidate path from cache. Yeah, this one. So that's going to import this function here from the Next.js cache. And then we can tell at this point here, after we do everything we need to do, we can tell Next.js to revalidate this path, because we need to show the latest information. So now we get this in here. There we go. Nice. So it was revalidated, and now every time we create a new one, it should be revalidate every single time. We got to clear this form. We can just do that in another video. Let's just do here how to learn cloud let's say how to learn cloud computing. I create a blog about that. Hit create. It's gonna wait. We need to also tell the user that we're generating it, so that way they don't just look at the screen and that is not changing. And now we got the blog post here, comprehensive guide on how to learn cloud computing. So we'll do the next few tasks in the next video. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.